All right, so I'm going to show you how to set up your Google Doc and lay out your movie review page for the Oliver Twist movie. So here I've opened up a brand new Google Doc in my Google Drive, and I'm going to go and I'm going to change a few things here. Initially, first, I don't want it to be portrait. I want it to be landscape. I need to change my margins to 0.5 for the top, bottom, left, and right. And I click OK, and you can see it's reoriented my page to be landscape. So it's wider than it is tall now, and that's what I want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a table, in essence, to lay everything out. Okay, so I'm going to go to Insert, Table. I need to decide how many columns I want, because in a newspaper, remember, articles are written in columns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 4 columns. And I'm going to create 3 rows, and it looks like this when you first put it in, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to select all 4 of these first cells here in the first row, and I'm going to right click, or I can go to Table if you're on a Chromebook, might be easier, and say Merge Cells, and what it does is it takes all of them and merges it into one big cell. I'm also going to merge these 2 cells here in the second row, because this is where I'm going to put my picture. So once again, Table, Merge Cells, puts it in there for me. I'm also going to start to write my information in this column, this column. In fact, let me drag this down. I'm going to drag this down near the bottom. I'm not going to get all the way to the bottom yet, because I need to adjust some things, and you can see what happens as I start to adjust, it starts to push this thing around. So it's going to take me a little bit to play around with this to get it to move up. So I'm going to readjust this. It's back up onto one page again, and that's what I want. And I'm going to kind of adjust it down until I get to that point where it's pretty close to the bottom here without jumping down below. All right, so what I've got then is I've got a space here for my picture. I've got a space here for my title. I'm also going to merge these. Sorry, let me go up here to merge cells for you, and I'm going to merge these because this is where my writing is going to be for my article. And so picture, title. So let me get a title in here. You know what? I like all caps for this. A movie review of Oliver Twist. Okay, so there's my title. I'm going to resize this, maybe go some kind of an interesting font here. You know, I don't know, something that maybe looks old-fashioned. I don't know, let's just stick with Times New Roman. I'm going to increase the size of it. That is too big. Let's try 26, so that way it all fits on one line. Let me try 24, maybe that'll get done. Yep, I'm going to bold it. That's going to make it wider. And I do want it centered, so I'm going to center align it there. Notice what's also done is push my table down, which means I need to go back down here and drag this up a little bit until it fits, and then I can play around with that a little bit more. Okay, so I've got my title, Real or Not Real, a movie review of Oliver Twist. You know what, I'm going to go find an image, and I'm going to get my image in here right now. So I'm going to go to Google. Let me open this up. Here's Google Images. I did a search for Oliver Twist 2007. I'm going to look down and try to find a good image that fits. You can see all these different kinds of images in here. You know, find something that fits. Hey, you know what, this one might fit pretty well. So you know what, I'm going to copy this, copy the image. Let me go back here, and I'm going to paste that in, and then I can resize it a little bit to get it to fit in here a little bit better. There we go. There it is, and I'm going to maybe drag that up a little bit. So now my image fits in there pretty well. I'm a bit of a perfectionist here, so I'm going to adjust that so the spacing's the same on both sides. Okay. And then what I want to do at this point is I'm ready to put my information up here. Number one, I need to have whoops, editor-in-chief, and then you'll just type in your name. Not actual your name, but type in whatever your name actually is. I'm going to use the tab key, and I'm going to create a name for my overall newspaper. Let's see, the Industrial Revolution Times, something like that. And I like to get it centered, and I know this is the center. It's not quite centered, so maybe I backspace it, hit the space bar a couple times, get it centered. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go here, hit tab a few more times, and I'm going to get the date over here. You know what? I don't want it all caps anymore. September, I don't know, 26th, 1842. There we go. And now that's kind of centered. I might space it over a couple more. And now I've got everything I need up here. So now what I want to do is I want to start writing my article. And I'm going to start off as a movie reviewer, reviewing this new movie that just came out in the 1840s. You know, I'm going to talk about this. So I'm going to say, well, yeah, I guess let's do that. Oliver Twist, the newest creation from our famed director, depicts life during these new industrial times as pretty bleak. So the question is whether or not this is an accurate depiction of really what life is like for the average person in London. In this critic's humble opinion, I believe that the director has done a fantastic job of depicting reality of the times, blah, 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 and I would go on to continue to talk about whatever it is I'm going to talk about, right? I do need this to be Times New Roman, font size 12, okay, as I go through this, and as I continue to type and start to introduce all the different scenarios and examples that I'm going to use to show that, yes, this was real, and this is what life must have really been like back then. When I get down to the bottom, and I kind of get to this area here, and I'm going to need to then stop typing and then start typing up here. And then when I get to the bottom here, same thing, get to the bottom here, same thing, and then get to the bottom all the way down here. And I want to really fill this whole page with my text. The other thing I need to do is I'm going to replace this O here with kind of a fancy what we call a drop cap. And with Google Docs, it's not easy to work with, so what I'm going to do, instead of trying to place it right here initially, I'm going to place it somewhere in the middle of my text. I'm also going to go back to Google and Google Images, and I'm going to look for a drop cap and then whatever letter I want to start off with. In this case, I want to start with an O. So here's one that is just an image of an O, and I'm going to use this. So I'm going to copy this image. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my Google Doc. And once again, I'm going to start somewhere in the middle here, and I'm just going to paste this in. I think I can go under Edit, Paste. There it is. Now it's stuck down here. I don't want that. So then once I have it in the middle somewhere, I can use Wrap Text, and it'll allow my text to wrap around. And then I can click and drag it up into this corner where I want it to go. And you can see I can get it right about there. And then what I need to do is I need to get rid of this O, because this O right here is replacing the O I had in here before. Final thing I want to do is I'm going to select all of my text, and I'm not going to left align it. I'm not going to center or right align. I'm going to what we call justify align. So it lines up both straight down on the left, straight down on the right. Okay, and that's what newspapers do, and that kind of helps us visually see where the columns are. I'm going to use that kind of alignment. Last thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this at the very, very end when I'm done writing my entire article, is I'm going to go back into this table, and I want to get rid of all these lines so that way it looks more like a newspaper. So I'm going to right click somewhere inside of my table, and I'm going to go to Table Properties. And under Table Properties, I want to get rid of the table border. So I can either just go 0 point, or I can literally change it to white, and then I can't see it because the background is white. I click OK, and it's gone. And once I have all of my text and everything in here, this will look much more like an actual newspaper column. So you can see I've got all my stuff in here to make it look the way I want.